They were using clamshells as a form of value exchange because that was more stable than the US dollar.
This is Alexej Jordanov, and today I'm sitting next to
Brett King.
Brett King. What is your passion? What is your purpose?
So I guess I'm known pretty much as a futurist. As part of the effect of enacting change, I have a startup which is moving, and then I write. I'm an author, so I've written 6 books. A series I've been doing since 2009 on the future of banking.
How do you explain the evolution of banking?
So banking, as far as the formal banking system we have today, emerged in the 14th century out of Italy, Florence, Firenze. In fact, the Medici family out of Italy were the sort of founders of that. Preceded about 100 years the oldest bank in the world today, which is Monte dei Paschi di Siena. But before that, you can trace it back to the Knights Templar, who were commissioned to transfer boxes of gold from one city to another by wealthy families in Europe. So, the early stages of the banking system was starting to emerge back then. In 700 years, not a lot changed in banking up until about the 1950s, when we started to introduce technology like mainframe computers into banks.
What are the limits of the current monetary system?
The reason governments argue for fiat over crypto is that the government is a trusted issuer, that people can trust the government will back the currency. And the argument is that if the currency starts to lose value, the government can come in and they can, either with monetary policy or quantitative easing or one of these techniques, stabilize the value of the currency so that it maintains its value, right, rather than being affected by inflation. But of course there are times when even a government cannot stabilize a value of a currency in terms of things like inflation. So what's happening in Venezuela right now. But it's also happened here in the United States. So in the United States during the Great Depression, in Pismo Beach, California, people were using clamshells, which is where you get the expression for clams as slang for money. They were using clamshells as a form of value exchange because that was more stable than the US dollar.
What role do cryptocurrencies play in that paradigm shift that we are witnessing at the moment?
Well, it comes down simply to value exchange mechanisms, is that geographically based, country-originated physical currencies do not fit the emerging digital world well. A US dollar has no advantage from a data perspective or a transmission perspective over Bitcoin or Ethereum, except that it is regulated by a central bank. Now, at a certain point, once cryptocurrencies get to the point of being accepted as a mechanism of value exchange, they will be able to compete side by side with geographically based fiat currency without any restriction.
If society is a set of games, what game would you change?
I would change the game of that life is an individual sport and make it a team sport. So the way you win is that every human wins. And that would then give you incentive to manage resource allocation more effectively for every human. And so if there's one thing I could change about the game, it would be that we're all in this together.